Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to be a brand new format here. It's going to be on Mondays. It's called Mondays Mail, Media, and More. First, we're going to be answering some viewer questions or some reader questions that they're sent in from us. And once about every 3 weeks, we're going to be answering questions from First for Women magazine. That's right. We're going to be answering questions from a column called Worries Solved. And that's because we are thrilled to announce that we are the new columnists for Worries Solved. We're going to be filling some pretty big shoes. Anne Louise Gittleman is stepping down to make room for us. And we're really, really excited that we're going to talk about nutrition and health and fitness all in this magazine. We're going to extend the answers longer here in this format to really give us some time to talk about the questions that are coming in. Now,
you can see on the cover of First for Women there, you've got our friend Paula Dean, who's gotten in a lot of trouble this last week for a few things that she said. But would it surprise you to know that BuzzFeed put out an article about rich food, poor food called 8 ingredients that are banned in other countries but still allowed here. Now, 5 million people read about that. 5 million people. And it turns out that rich food, poor food was the #1 trending issue in the United States last week, even over Paula Dean. Take a look at this clip.
Here are the top 5.
I'm Jan Jeffcoat at #1. When we say junk food, we mean it.
The new book, Rich Food, Poor Food, claims that foods sold in the U.S. are so bad, so unhealthy, so loaded with chemicals that 80% of it is banned in much of the world because it could cause cancer. The authors of the book say chemical additives linked to cancer can be found in soda, mac and cheese, potato chips, bagel chips, even cereal. Some of these food additives are used to protect carpets from fire and even disinfect swimming pools. Forget drone attacks. Let's just send in our junk food.
Well, that's pretty incredible, but it wasn't just the entertainment stations that were picking the story up. ABC, CBS, and take a look at this clip that we did with Fox News.
The ingredients in name brand foods that you likely have in your home right now are approved by our government, but they are banned in more than 100 other countries. Wait till you hear why. Some of America's most popular packaged foods and soft drinks contain ingredients so bad for you, they're actually banned in many other countries. In some cases, most other countries. That's according to a recent book called Rich Food, Poor Food. A doctor and a nutritionist wrote it. For example, Mountain Dew. It's one of many soft drinks containing brominated vegetable oil. That's an oil that makes the dye stick to the liquid. It's also apparently made from the same chemical used to disinfect swimming pools. And it's linked to major organ damage. That's just one of the reasons it's banned in more than 100 countries. But here in the United States, it's FDA approved. Next, take foods with artificial food coloring. Pretty much everything, from Fruit Loops to mac and cheese. And the authors say certain dyes in the food cause diseases, including cancer in lab rats. Again, FDA approved, while banned in countries including France, Norway, to name just a couple. Fox News reached out to the companies for reaction to these claims. We haven't heard back from any of them yet. But the Food and Drug Administration, which approves these foods for our consumption, tells us it uses an extensive science-based process to evaluate the safety of food additives. Will Carr with the news from our West Coast News Hub this afternoon. Will?
Shep, I know you're from the South, so you might be like me. I love hot sauce on just about everything. But what about putting hot sauce on your yoga mat? That doesn't sound too good. How about on the bottom of your tennis shoe? Well, basically, this author is saying that some of the ingredients that are in these are the same ingredients in popular foods, just like Hungry Man frozen dinners. And if that sounds bad, trust me, it gets a little bit worse. There are ingredients in Gatorade, Chex Mix, things like Bubble Yum, which is an oldie but a goodie. The author says that those ingredients are actually linked to some cancers. They've been banned in other countries, but right here in the United States, they're perfectly legal. Here's what he said.
I don't necessarily think that this is going to be an issue where we're going to be able to get the FDA to ban these ingredients. We much would rather empower the consumer. We want to give them the education that they need so they can do something in the grocery store today. I think if Americans start to look at food quality and really focus on that, I think we can prevent and reverse many of today's lifestyle health conditions and diseases that we're plagued by.
We reached out to all the companies that actually make these products. So far, we have not gotten any responses back. We also reached out to the FDA. They did give us a statement. It says, quote, that the agency continues to monitor the science on food additives and is prepared to take appropriate action if there are any safety concerns. We have that entire statement on our website, which is foxnews.com/Shep. And Shepard, I can tell you, if there's any silver lining here, it actually comes from my mom, who told me earlier today that this story just proves I need to eat more vegetables.
That's
Back
it.
to you.
Will Carr, thank you, sir, live in Los Angeles, the newest member of the Fair and Balanced team, and we welcome him. Chemical found in a lot of the frozen dinners may be FDA approved over here, but in Singapore, if you use that same additive, be prepared to serve up to 15 years in prison and pay a fine of up to $500,000.
Okay, well, that was the media portion, and now we're going to move on to the mail portion. Today's question comes from Christy Gruber, and Christy didn't ask us directly. She actually contacted Jones Creek Beef. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jones Creek Beef is a certified rich food provider of grass-fed beef, and they're selling at Kroger's, I believe Walmart.
Yep.
And we're really excited to have them on board. Now, Christy sent them a letter, and her question was, I've read somewhere that companies are not required to label if a food is genetically enhanced or something like that. Is that really true?
Christy, it's absolutely true. You're talking about genetically modified organisms. And the problem is they're everywhere in the grocery store today. In the book, we talk about that 80% of the foods in the modern grocery store have genetically modified ingredients. Now, how do we protect ourselves from GMOs? In the book, Rich Food, Poor Food, on page 27, we go over the main foods that are currently genetically modified, in case you don't know what those are. Soy, 93% of soy is genetically modified. Cotton, 93% of cotton. 90% of canola. 86% of corn. That's a big one. Sugar beets. 95% of sugar beets are genetically modified. What are sugar beets? Well,
It's not your mama's sugar.
It's not your mama's sugar. In foods today in the grocery store, when you see sugar on the label, 55% of the time, it's not coming from sugar cane. It's coming from these sugar beets, which almost all of them are genetically modified. 80% of Hawaiian papaya is currently genetically modified. And you know that zucchini and summer squash you get
The
when you go
side
to the
dish,
restaurant?
the grilled vegetables.
Right, you go to the
sauteed.
restaurants and you're like, well, give me some vegetables. What do they give you? Zucchini and summer squash. Why do you think? 25,000 acres currently genetically modified. But it's not just these foods you have to watch out for.
Yeah, you're not going to see them ever labeled. I mean, that's the sad truth. When you ask that question, yes, it is the truth, and it is a sad truth. And the whole point is you're not going to ever see GMO across the label because they know you're not going to buy it. And so if you're not going to buy it, they're not going to label it. Now, it's not like Jason was saying, it's not the actual ingredient that you're going to see. So you're not going to see corn on the ingredient list necessarily, but you might see white vinegar.
Right. White vinegar comes typically from genetically modified corn. So does citric acid. That was a big surprise for us. We thought that would come from citrus, but it doesn't. It comes from corn the most of the time. Maltodextrone, soy lecithin. So there's a lot of different poor food ingredients that you have to watch out for.
And it's hiding in places you wouldn't think. We actually gave a lecture recently on give it a plug, the low carb cruise. And when we were doing it, someone actually came right up to us afterwards and said, oh my God, as you were speaking, I was starting to make a cup of tea, and I put my tea bag in. I was listening to your lecture, and I turned it over, and there was soy lecithin in her tea, like completely a unnecessary ingredient. Shouldn't have ever even been there. But she was actually astonished to see that hiding in there, which means genetically modified soy.
Yeah, it's really everywhere. And Mira and I are on a crusade to let people know that GMOs are in their food or that they're coming to the grocery store. If you go to the front page of Calton Nutrition, you can see that we started a petition on change.org.
Why don't we put a link just down there?
Will be a link down there, and we're looking at stopping the Arctic apple. And you may say, what in the world's the Arctic apple? It's the first genetically modified apple that are going to be coming out in the grocery stores by the end of the year, maybe first of next year.
And they call it the Botox apple. Botox meaning it's never going to age. That's because they wanted to make this apple an appealing choice for the first new genetically modified fruit. So what they made it more appealing is it's not going to age either. It's going to look nice and fresh, even after you cut it open, leave it open for up to 15 days. That's right.
15 days.
Non-browning apple, because that's what we all really need in this world.
Yeah, I mean, companies like McDonald's are going to be real happy. They can serve those apple slices to the kids. They don't have to worry about them getting old or looking brown or rotting, and the kids will eat them, never knowing that this apple is 2 weeks old and literally rotting on the inside. So if you feel, as strongly as we do about stopping genetic modification from going into our grocery stores completely, come to the front page of Calton Nutrition and help us and sign our petition to help us to stop this. There's over 30 other forms of produce waiting in the wings once the apple gets out. So if we don't put it into it now, I think pink pineapple is
next. Another real
Just
big necessity. So I guess that was our first question.
Yeah.
We will do this again. Make sure to email us questions. Send them to media@caltonnutrition.com. I'll put a link down there.
Yep.
And you can do that as well. Send us a note. Let us know what you want to know more about, and we'll be happy to answer it for you.
Join us next time on Media, Mail, and More. Thanks very much.
Bye.